Hi, welcome to Edward Box Guitar Tuition. So today's classic album inspection is Black Tiger by Y&T, released in August of 1982. So couldn't find a date for the release of this. All I can tell you is they did play the Reading Festival on August the 27th, and they played 3 tracks off this album. And I'm guessing the album was already out around that time, so it probably came out before that. So with this, they kind of took a step up commercially, certainly in the UK. Prior to this, they'd done the Earthshaker album, abbreviated the name from Yesterday and Today to Y&T. That had been really well received. Some people would probably think it's better than this album. I wouldn't necessarily disagree with that. But this is the album that's kind of got them kind of more known, I think. And they also had the classic logo on this and started to sort of get an artwork style which lasted for the next couple of albums. So the opening track, From the Moon, is basically kind of taking some of the guitar arrangement from the start of the track, Forever, and it's got kind of multi-tracked harmonies. So kind of taking a leaf out of Scream for Vengeance maybe with this, kind of doing like a little instrumental, obviously not as bombastic as a Hellion, and then going into the first track, which is Open Fire. I think the first thing you notice with this album, I think why Y&T are more popular in this country, is they're pretty metallic. Typically a lot of American metal is hard rock really, and Y&T have got a hard rock sound. But there's a rawness to them, and there's a lot of punch about them. And it comes through on this opening track, Open Fire. It's up tempo. It's got kick-ass guitar solo, sort of kick-ass vocals, popular live track. They did play this at the Reading Festival, I noticed on the set list. So that's really cool. And then probably one of the most commercial tracks of the album is number 2, which is Don't Want to Lose. So this is kind of a more commercial hard rock track, but it's still rocking. I think you can hear sort of Van Halen influence on this with the backing vocals, and they've got really good backing vocals, Y&T. Phil Kennemore, the bass player, is a decent singer himself. I'm guessing Joey Alves did backing vocals as well, and they're really well pitched. They really added a big hook to the chorus. Really nice guitar solo by Dave Meniketti. So the album opens really strong. That's 4 minutes 9, that track. Next track is a little shorter, Hell or High Water, 3:44. Not as good, this track, but it's still good. When this track opens, you can sort of hear the drum sound that Max Norman's achieved. It's quite sort of, quite a natural sort of bass drum sound. You can kind of hear the kind of kick drum. The snare sounds kind of big and boxy, but quite live. I would say the mix on the album, sometimes it feels like the solos are a little eaten up, and I think like the sort of frequency on the lead guitar, rhythm guitars, is eating the lead a bit. Because everything feels like quite pushed up anyway. But it's a good track, this. It's catchy. And then side 1 finishes with Forever, which is a real Y&T classic. Again, they played this as the encore at Reading Festival in 1982. This has got a 12/8 feel. Like I say, it takes the guitar line from the Moon as a kind of starting point. Really classic guitar solo, really good middle section, great chorus, great vocal from Dave Meniketti. So, I mean, that finished side 1. It's a really, really strong side. Dave Meniketti, his singer, guitar player, his voice, probably the obvious comparisons, people compare him to Sammy Hagar quite a bit. I think at one point he was actually going to do some Montrose stuff. He's got a great voice. People also know him from the Hearing Aid recording, and he stands out as one of the very best vocal performances on that. He's got a guts and soul. He doesn't over-egg it, and his voice, for that reason, is retained in good shape. As a lead guitar player, again, he's got a lot of bite. There's a lot of fire to his playing. He's a gutsy Les Paul player. Just kind of fast pentatonics, natural minor, Dorian mode. Doesn't do two-handed tapping or anything like that. But his vibrato is quite interesting. When I was listening to it, he's got like a fast but quite narrow vibrato. Kind of almost a little bit nervous. Kind of reminds me of Paul Kossoff a bit, but when I looked up, he didn't seem to be influenced by him. He's sort of like Gary Moore as well, but Gary Moore's vibrato is wider. I'm not just saying that because of like the Les Paul thing. But like I say, he's a cool player. He's got, he's got his own kind of little take on things, and he's got some interesting runs that he does. So side 2 of the original vinyl opens with the title track. So this has got like kind of jungle sounds at the start, and then kind of just the chord. This is a good track. It's kind of like Open Fire in terms of tempo, but kind of breaks down a little bit in the main verse. Another cool guitar solo. Meniketti does a thing where he cuts off his neck pickup, I think, with the volume control on the Les Paul, and he kind of plays a part but uses the pickup switch to cut out the sound, sort of predating Tom Morello, really. So all the tracks really solid up to now. The next track I can't stand is Room Boogie. It's kind of trying to do a Van Halen comedy track to me. And I just think, obviously, someone like David Roth pulls that off great, but it's kind of all the way through, and I think it's kind of beneath sort of Dave Meniketti a bit. I mean, he's catchy enough, but it doesn't totally work. So the next track, My Way or the Highway, this is a catchy sort of anthem. Again, the guitars are really good on this. It's got a really cool solo, catchy chorus, good hook. And then the album finishes with Winds of Change, which is a ballad. Maybe a bit long this track, but it's got a nice clean part in D minor at the start, the saddest of all keys. And you can hear like the sort of production coming into its own more on this track. So Max Norman does this album. They recorded it at Ridge Farm Studios, and it was mixed at the record plant. I don't think it's the best sounding record he made. It's probably, it's not quite as good as the Aussie stuff. It's certainly not as good as Loudness and stuff like that. But it does sound good. I think the next album, which I think is their best one of the albums that I know, they got Chris Tsangarides. We'll review that next year. Mean Street, but he managed to get like the balance right, I think. But this album, like a lot of albums at the time, is 38 minutes and 15, so it comes in under 40 minutes. The actual CD's got bonus track Somebody For Me, and Phil Kennemore sings that. You can hear that although his vocals aren't anywhere as good as Dave Meniketti's, he's a solid singer. And I think that's the thing with Y&T. They're solid but not spectacular. I think people are always like, why weren't Y&T bigger? I think to me, they're really solid players in each position. I think I know some drummers have quite a lot of affection for Leonard Hayes, particularly single bass drum technique, how fast he could go. Phil Kennemore, solid bass player, good stage presence, good singer. Joey Elves, good backing vocals, tight rhythm. Dave Meniketti, probably the star player, main writer, really good lead guitar player, great singer. But I think sometimes the songs, like they're well crafted, they work well in a live environment. They're maybe just missing that track that, or a few tracks on the albums that would kind of just take it up a notch. I think sometimes the timing was a little off for them as well. Maybe if Earthshaker had kind of caught more traction, they're In Rock We Trust album sold 450,000 copies in America. So it nearly went gold. But if you imagine, say, if the Mean Streak album had done that, and then they'd had the right tracks on In Rock We Trust and gone gold on that, then maybe if they'd kept the proper artwork and branding on Down for the Count and Summertime Girls had done its job more, then maybe they would go platinum. And to me, that sort of band, it's kind of band that maybe have a couple of gold albums at best. I don't think the kind of band that's going to go platinum. But at the end of the day, they've had a really solid career. Obviously, they play in Newcastle, which is my adopted hometown city. They play there every year without fail. They play over Europe, in America. They've got a beloved following. And Dave Meniketti, even though he's the only surviving member, I think people will accept that because he gets the right musicians in who are passionate about the Y&T sound and what they do. I've seen them live a couple of times. They're excellent. And they've got enough songs to do an interesting set that fans love. So yeah, Black Tiger, 40 years old sometime this month. A really good hard rock / metal album, US metal album of the time. Hope you enjoyed that, and see you soon. Thanks very much.